Right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the fifth Magic Makers chat. I like to think of these as a bit of a fireside chat with some wonderful friends that I have met in the ether. I think so far I've not actually met any of these people physically, so but we know each other energetically very, very well. If you don't know me, I am an intuitive artist. I'm a full-time illustrator and designer. I've created 4 Oracle decks with Hay House and Kyle Gray, and I work with people one-on-one creating intuitive paintings of their angels, guides, you name it, whatever comes through for them. And I decided through the process of meeting wonderful people on these one-to-one sessions that I really needed to be sharing some of the stuff that was coming through in these meetings, learning about the different healing modalities that I was coming across. And, there's just so much going on out there that people are practicing. And I thought it was a great way to use my little platform that it is to start to share this information with everyone, and just have a nice chat. So we are meeting Danay Novoa today. We've known each other for a couple of years, and yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself, Danay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danay Novoa. I am a channel and intuitive coach. My past life consists of teaching in higher education. So I have my PhD in psychology and the experimental side for those who are familiar. I got propelled into channeling through a variety of reasons, but it's been a wonderful journey and also been a challenging journey. But I love teaching about channeling, and I love channeling and coaching people to help them find their empowered self.
Wonderful, wonderful. And we actually met through a channeling course. So I took the art of channeling with Sarah Landon and Mike Dooley. And then I took, were you on that? I
Yeah.
can't remember. You were. Okay. And then I took Sarah Landon's more advanced class for channeling. This was a few years ago now, because I was trying to figure out what the heck it was that I was doing. Getting kind of psychic information from the clients that I was working with. And Danai was one of the teachers, or I forget what she calls them, guides or something,
Mentors. Yeah.
mentors, that so each week a new mentor would come in and share their form of channeling to kind of introduce the class participants to different ways of channeling. And Danai did her verbal channeling, and I was like, I quite like to know Danai a bit better.
Who doesn't?
And so I think I reached out to you, and I
Yeah,
actually Googled you, and I was like, where is she?
yeah, yeah, you did. You Googled me, and I was hidden a lot more then until you entered my life.
Yes. Yeah. So I Googled her, and then because you've got an unusual last name, just like I do, I found you on Facebook, and I was like, I'm pretty sure that's her. So I messaged you. And we've been chatting ever since, about all sorts of stuff and collaborating on all sorts of things. So that's how I got to know you. But you were obviously, I know you were a year or so kind of ahead of me in regards to channeling and verbal channeling, perhaps. So do you want to just share how that, like, how you discovered channeling? What was the transition for you? All that stuff.
Yeah. So stuff like channeling and metaphysical experiences have been part of my life since birth. I happen to be somebody who was blessed to have a spiritual mentor. As soon as I incarnated, I didn't understand, but I had somebody who was very skilled with channeling and psychic stuff, and just all around very, very gifted. And she was a very close person to our family. So we spent a lot of time together growing up, and I was always curious about, well, what's my superpower going to be? I just thought it was expected that when you were growing up that you would come into the knowledge of your gifts, which isn't a lie. But I was hoping for telekinesis because I thought it was super cool to be able to reach out and go, glass of water, come to me. So I would try with pencils and various things and spend my time doing that. But then I got caught up in academia and research. So I kind of moved away from the spiritual realm a lot more, being more science-minded, focused, and spent many years pursuing education in my PhD in psychology, looking at how people cope with adverse experiences. And then, as life would do it propelled me to move away from that by having adverse experiences come into my life and say, it's time to move on. It's time to try something new. And as persistent and stubborn as I've been called in the past, I held on tightly to the academic world until I was kicked out in an energetic way to say, no, it's time to do your own thing. So I think in 2018 was kind of a pivotal time, being into learning more about channeling explicitly. I understood that there was experiences and gifts that we all had the ability to do, but I didn't know what they were individually called, aside from like telepathic and telekinetic. And I saw, Abraham or Esther Hicks doing channeling, and I thought, that's cool, I'll do that at some point, but I just kind of left it alone. And, I was also encountering that very science skeptical side of me that kept saying, this isn't real, or only the special can do it. Like, it's not an everybody thing. Nonetheless, the events around 2020 promoted an opportunity for me to start exploring things more in depth. So I spent a lot of time doing that. I've been drawing for as long as I can remember, and drawing ended up being one of the ways I started channeling messages. I did automatic writing for a chunk of time, and then my spiritual mentor passed away. And that is the day that I went into spontaneous channeling, bringing messages through from Metatron. So that was about 3 years ago, I think.
I don't know whether you've ever talked about that.
Yeah, it's actually what propelled me to go into the art of channeling. So I was already verbal channeling before connecting with any of Sarah Landon's stuff. I was just resistant to it. So I joined her semi-private in 2021, in the fall of 2021. I was actually the group right before yours.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have a relationship with Metatron as well. So let's dig into that a bit more, because I'm fascinated by that.
Okay.
What happened?
Well, we found out that this close family friend passed away, and she's been a prominent part of our life. And I had been doing energy healing, which I started doing maybe a year before, exploring it. And I had my sister on a video call, and I said to her, do you want some energy healing? And she said, yeah, because I was very focused on her being grief stricken, and I wasn't accepting it, having the name like Danay, it's easy to go into denial. So I'm very much focused on other people's well-being. So even if I'm not okay, I redirect my attention to their well-being. And I ended up doing some energy healing. But prior to that, I thought, I'll do a prayer. So I bowed my head and started calling on all the archangels, and my sister specifically likes Metatron. So I said, I made sure that let's get Metatron through. And before I could finish the prayer, I was speaking, but it wasn't me speaking. Mm-hmm. Nothing was recorded. I just remember not speaking. I don't remember what I said. And I don't, after I came back, essentially I was present, but it's like a lucid dreamlike experience for me when I channel. I came back and I just said, that wasn't me. And my sister said, I know. And I said, did it help? I wish, had I known in hindsight, I wish I had recorded the message, because it would have been amazing to hear like the first verbal channeled message, but I'm sure it was filled with "you are love" because that's not an uncommon message.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, well, things happen for a reason, don't they? And
Yeah.
in a way, like the spontaneity of it is what kind of opened the door, right? Like if you'd been
Yeah.
like, "Oh, wait, I gotta hit record,"
Yeah.
you may have gotten in the way of it, you
That's
know?
true. That's true. And I wasn't into recording things then. I was writing and drawing. There was no need to
Yeah.
record. I mean, I was doing these sessions for people, and I don't think I was recording those sessions, or maybe I was, but I was sending audios out and sending the pictures out. And then I was like, what are the odds that as I'm in a grief process that I'm going to, reach enough of a vibrational frequency to channel something like that, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, that is interesting that you were able to, because grief traditionally is kind of a really heavy and dense emotion, isn't it? That kind of drags you down. But
yeah, and one of the things mentioned now is grief allows for surrender. Um, so, whenever I'm talking to anybody, everything is present to talk to as well. So, when I've channeled in the past around grief, they say it's the most beautiful emotion on the planet because it's both a higher frequency and a lower frequency at the same time. Because grief itself is an expression of um, not being able to express the love that you want to express to the extent that you want to express it.
yes, yeah, it's quite a beautiful thing when you're not in the thick of it, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
And even when you are, there's a part of you that perhaps can be like, wow, this is intense, and somehow special in its own way.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that that was your doorway into it. What would you say, how has this gift helped you with your life before anyone else? How has it helped you with yours?
It's a great question. It's helped a lot, and surprisingly so. There's still more that I can move and expand on this, but it's helped a lot with trust. Um, because trust seems to be a theme in my life, and I find that anybody who comes to work with me, they're going to carry similar themes to what I'm endeavoring to master in the capacity that I can. Um, but it's interesting to observe the confidence that's come from doing this, in a sense where I have domains in life where I don't feel confident at all. And when it comes to channeling, I do. And it's, it just feels easy. When I was learning to do it and coming into it, there were a lot of frustrating moments and kicking and screaming and essentially looking up at my ceiling and yelling and saying, this is all a bunch of garbage. And like, if it actually works, then why isn't it working, kind of thing. But as soon as I did it, there was no stopping it. It's always present. I don't think there's ever been a time where I've tuned in to channel and nothing's come through, unless I'm in like a really deep state of despair. Then
Yeah,
I just hear it as well, right? But I can
yeah,
get a sense of the messaging. So it's more around, self confidence, self trust. It's all expansion around the self. And my life has changed in a variety of ways, but it really comes down to channeling changes you first and foremost. And any channeled message is for you first and foremost. And the changes in you then ripple out to the changes in your external world. But it gives me a shift in looking at things differently. I'm not as reactive as I used to be. Um, there's a lot of ways that I can continue to evolve as a person, but there's a lot of ways that I have evolved already. And I know that a big part of that is channeling.
yeah. And it's sort of an endless thing, isn't it? I think from the outside, it feels like maybe there's not far to go, and then when you're in it, you're like, oh, yeah, I have a lot to
But
work through.
that's the thing. Like they talk about like the wisest person will say that you know, they don't know the answers. And
Yeah.
it's the fool who says that they know everything. But the idea is the more answers you get, the more questions that come,
Yes.
because like it's infinite, infinite intelligence, infinite knowledge. You're never going to get to the end of it. And that's what's most appealing to the soul, is that you cannot stop evolving.
Mhm.
It's just, it's never going to end. And to some people, that might be an eye roll to say, well, what's the point? And it's like, you get to explore all new realms of your perception in the same plane that you've been in, but you see it from a different light.
Yeah, and I think certainly, when you've channeled for me, or, I've heard you channeling, for example, in the semi-private class where you did a group channel, and when I've channeled for myself on things, this perspective is always, because I usually ask a question that I don't necessarily have an agenda about, right? I get stuck when I have an agenda because then I get in the way of it. But if I don't have an agenda per se, it's amazing the perspective that comes through, that you just were so not there. You're human was so not there. And it gives you that, yeah, it gives you that level of peace, I suppose, that you can, perspective, as you said, that you can view the various things that happen in your life from a different perspective. You still get wrapped up in them, I think, it's always going to happen. But you suddenly can kind of take a sideways step and be like, okay, I don't need to be so completely embroiled in this drama.
Yeah.
If it's not going to serve me.
Well, I remember one of the channels I did for you talked about a road, and this was years ago, in a sense of like, if you're driving down a smooth road on a sunny day that just the road just continues going straight, you're gonna get bored. There's no bumps, there's no turns, there's no nothing, no shifts in weather, and you're gonna be like, oh my God, just something happened.
Mhm.
And so life is filled with contrasts, but we get better at reacting or responding to contrast as we continue to evolve. And I mean, the most important shift is loving yourself as unconditionally as you possibly can, because the reason that contrasts affect us and trigger us or activate us is because we don't have that complete love and acceptance of the self.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very wise words indeed. Um, so when you're quite an adept at verbal channeling now, obviously, and that's kind of become your focus, much like my intuitive artwork has become my focus. Um, what does that, can you walk us through the process of that? What does that feel like for you? You've mentioned that it feels like a bit of a dream when you're in it, but like, what is the process, beginning, middle, and end?
Yeah, sure. So when I go into it, I usually find the quickest way for me to heart center and ground. And it's going into the body. And there's different ways that people suggested. Coming back to the breath is one of the key ways. Sometimes I think about something that promotes a lot of love in me. So if it's somebody that I care about, I'll usually picture them and think of them, and that'll immediately put me into my heart. But as soon as it it happens, I get like an energetic essence on my right side, and it's very subtle. Channeling, any intuitive work is all around subtle energies, and it's so subtle that even like the air from a fan blowing on its lightest thing doesn't compare to the subtleness of it. It's strong, but it's subtle. So if I'm going about my day and I'm not attentive, I won't know, but I feel that, like, I feel the energy right now here. And then I'll get a phrase. I'll hear it or I'll think it, and I'll get a phrase. And as soon as I say the phrase, the rest then comes through. It's like the phrase is a gateway. I know some channels have talked about seeing like a scroll revealed in front of them with the sentence to say, but mine is more of a hearing, a clair audience, or a clairsentient. Well, sentience is in there. Clair audience or clair cognizant a just knowing of the phrase or a hearing of the phrase, like I would hear my own thoughts. And as soon as I speak it, it goes. And then I'm very much aware of the process as it's happening. It's a lucid dream. I've taken like a backseat, sort of a metaphor of a car or a passenger side, but I can come in and impact what's going on in the message. If I'm not uncomfortable, I can make it more challenging. I can make it easier for myself. Because if my mind's involved, I'm having a conversation with the energy while I'm translating the energy as the channel. And it's very entertaining to watch that sort of cycle go through, especially in the beginning when I would always go, yeah, but, because they would say all these things. And people would see this seamless channel coming out of me, but the whole time I'm like, blah, 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 yeah, but, yeah, but, yeah, but. So I'm having a conversation, I'm observing things, and I'm trying to, as the analytical mind that I am, I'm trying to figure out where they're going with their messaging. So it's like a puzzle for me. I'm very much involved because I'm very mental focused. It's not like I
A
sit
miracle they got through to you, to be honest
there.
with
It's true.
you.
So I'll go through it and people are like, oh, she's sitting there and she's so calm. And for the most part, I am. But I'm also very active in going, well, these are my thoughts while they're talking. Even if it's not a yeah, but or a countering, it's a, I see where you're going, but what about this to help those who are part of the call? Because I'll detect the energy that's going on there. And the more I let go, the less I'm involved in a mental chatter sort of way, because I'll then just sit back and go, okay, go have fun, and I'll just be here observing. And I'll hear it, and then as soon as the channel is complete, I'm kind of in a fog. And there's somebody that is normally on these calls with me to then jump in and say like, a comment about the call or ask the group a question so that I can find my bearings again, because it's kind of like waking up. When you first wake up in the morning, you don't know where you are, kind of thing. That's the closest sort of feeling that I can describe around it. But I'm very present. It's just I'm coming back to my persona after letting myself go to a frequency to allow the energetic transmission to come through me.
Do you feel emotions like I've had connections where I end up crying, not emotionally crying, but like my eyes are watering, or the feeling of peace or this like excitement is unbelievable. Do you get that?
I can. I find the more I do it, the less extravagant the energy can be. And I think because I keep adjusting to the frequencies that are given to me. But there are some channels, especially in the beginning, that I would be vibrating quite a bit as I was doing the message. And it's almost like a sense of being jittered, like jittery, but not having the same sort of anxious thoughts around it. And other times I'll do a channel and it'll feel completely flat for me because I'll be like, I won't detect it. I'll still feel the energy here, but I won't detect anything bodily. And then people who are listening are going, that was amazing. That was great. And I was like, what the hell? Like it
Where were
felt
they?
like, yeah, like the message was there, the channel was there. And I think what happens is it becomes so much of an integration that sometimes when I channel, like, I don't feel like I'm going into a different state. I've integrated with the channel so much that sometimes just me speaking like this, there's channeling happening.
Yeah.
And there's somebody in my life, a very close person to me, who will catch me while I'm mid-conversation and go, you're channeling right now. And I'll go, okay, like, I don't notice. It's just so seamless at times.
Yeah.
But the fluctuation of energy and bodily sensations will vary from time to time.
Yeah, and it's funny because we never really talked about that. And that has been my experience too, that as I've done it more and more, the connections got easier, but it's also there's less of that like massively overwhelming in a positive way, but like physical tingles. And I mean, when I first connected with Metatron, I literally don't remember it at all. Like I don't
Yeah,
even
me neither.
remember doing the sketch. And I look at it and go, when the heck did that happen? I normally there's a part of me that remembers something, but I didn't with that. That happens less. And I think too, I tend to, certainly when I'm working with clients, I tend to get perhaps one of my guides comes in and makes it clear to me that they're holding the energy if it's getting particularly intense, so that I don't blow my fuses as I used to do in the past when I was learning, you know.
Yeah,
Did you find that you used to, I mean, that's the only way I've got of saying like blow my fuses, when you just go and everything, you have to go lie in
everything
a dark
happened.
room.
Yeah. For me, I would feel like I got hit by a bus. Because it would be intense, and then it, like, as soon as the channel was complete, I would be in intense fatigue. I know earlier on, and it still happens from time to time, that I would channel, and as soon as I was done channeling, I'd need to get a sweater like immediately, because I would chill like completely. And it didn't matter what was going on around me temperature wise. I would just automatically get cold and have to cover up. And I'll notice it, that the more I immerse myself in this energy, that sometimes while it's happening and I'm channeling, I'll heat up, but afterwards I'll cool immediately down. And then for a chunk of time, which still happens, but less and less, as soon as I was done channeling, I'd need to have like a plan of action to have some sort of carb right after. So pasta, potatoes, pizza, breads, whatever. I needed something hearty. And what I realized as I was going along the process was it's a grounding method to eat after channeling, and eat something that's hearty. It then puts you right back in your body, because, I recently did a retreat with somebody, and like during that retreat, I was channeling for like 3 hours straight. And afterwards, I could not find the ground. I was walking about, but I did not, like, I felt like I was outside of my body the entire time. So I had to find very human things to do to ground.
Yeah. Like for me, there have been times when I'm like, I have to go lie out on the lawn. Like,
Yeah.
as simple as that. Or in the forest. I have to go to the forest and sit for a bit, you know. But that's happening less and less now. I don't find it's happening as much, which is good, because it's quite hard when it does happen. So when you're connecting with this energy, are you asking for a specific energy, or like, do you have a sense of, oh, this might be so and so, or that might be so and so, or are you feeling much more like it's a collective energy?
When I first started, I was very focused on who or what I was channeling. I know that I always set the intention from the beginning that it's of the highest frequencies of light and love. Um, but I would be like, who is this? Who is this? And like no answer would come. And I would be channeling for clients, and some of them would ask on my behalf, like, who are we talking to? And they would then start flat out saying, we are love, and that is all you need to know. But around the stages that you would have met me, I was channeling anything and everything, which still consists. Now it's more of a collective, but there's no sort of set one thing. There's an energy that's very close to me, which I think would be like essentially like my main connection,
Yeah.
um, which has Palladian energy, and that's what I used to really focus on. But now, as I continue to evolve, most of the time I'm very aware of channeling energy that people would reference to as all that is, source energy, because there is no it's like, because a lot of people will be like, oh, I channeled Metatron, or I channeled this archangel, or I channeled, this being from this planet, and all those things. And it's wonderful, but I've never had that experience aside from that very first time, where it's been like one essence. It's been an amalgamation of essences, and it's always like, we are love. That's all they keep saying, is we are love. And I gave up trying to say, well, like, identify as a name, and they're like, love. So, so because that's the purpose. I mean, one of my main themes here is self-love. So that's the message I need to bring forth. And that's who's going to be called for me, is all the people who are looking for empowerment and loving themselves.
Yeah, it makes sense that you would be kind of uh, by default connecting into or plugging into the right energy that serves you and serves your work, and those that are going to resonate with you. Makes a lot of
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's not uncommon for me to go through a particular life situation, meet up with a client, and then the client goes, "This is my situation." And then I look up and I go, "Are you serious? Like, way to hit home. Give me a moment to breathe." Like,
so with that being said, it's a very good segue into my next question, which was how you've obviously were using this sort of personally and dabbling with it professionally for a time, and figuring out what you're doing as you go along. Now you're sort of fully fledged intuitive coach and verbal channel working with people. So how do you work with people?
well, I offer a variety of things. So one-to-one sessions, group courses. In one-to-one, people get the opportunity to either have a channeled call with me, a coaching call, or what I call a blend. And most people tend to pick the blend, which, if you think about it, any call with me is going to be a blend because I'm not separated from the essence. But a channel call, we would greet each other, and then I would just hop in and channel a message. They'd have the opportunity to ask questions, come out, and then leave the call. A coaching call is just me, kind of like how we've been chatting back and forth, and I would address any concerns that they have from this intuitive flow perspective, which is a form of channeling. And then the blending, I would jump in and out, talking as me and going to them and back and forth, which is fun for me to do because it mixes things up and allows for them to chime in, at brief moments for just kind of sealing the deal in the messaging that I've already been providing. With courses, lately the energy's been around uplifting. So I've been focusing around that. So I have a couple of things coming up around that. And I'm also one that's very passionate about teaching people how to channel. I don't consider it teaching people how to channel. I consider it reminding them that they already channel, and teaching them how to remember that they already channel. And I've done 3 iterations of a Learn to Channel course that have been very successful. The last one in particular has been incredibly successful as a mentorship program. So I'm moving forward as a mentorship program with it. And there's one coming up in the fall, actually in October. And I will have to sort out dates around that, but it will be October. And with this particular program, it's highly intensive in a sense of I'm there weekly coaching people how to tap into their own channel. And the group that I led through recently, they all verbal channel now and do it in front of groups. And not everyone will verbal channel, in a sense that, there's some are meant to verbal channel in the ways, but if you're interfering or if you don't want a verbal channel, like, verbal channel isn't the end all be all. Like, the channel, I love the way the channel has talked about it before. They're like, compare verbal channeling to hockey. Not everyone who plays the sports, plays hockey and is just as fulfilling.
Yeah.
I find the greatest connection I have through channeling is the energetic transmission itself rather than what's spoken. But I have no doubt that if you're passionate about any type of channeling, there's a reason why you're passionate about it. So
Yeah, if there's a curiosity there, then there's obviously a door that's partially
yeah,
open already, right?
yeah,
And I mean, I'm one of those ones that has sort of resisted the verbal channel thing. It's not something that appeals to me, I suppose. I appreciate those who can,
yeah,
but for me, it was my door got open because of what was coming through the artwork and the physical experiences that I was having, blowing my fuses every 5 seconds
yeah,
and trying to understand better, okay, how do I do this in respect to my clients and for myself? Um, and now it feels like, and yet our process is very much the same. I get the words just like you get, like the beginning of the sentence, and it's on repeat until I blooming well sit down and automatic write it. That's the way that it works for me.
Yeah.
But also I think the key sort of takeaway when learning from someone like Danay is the ability and the knowing that you can find that door in whatever way it is that works for you. For me, it's usually through meditation, and you can get this access to a higher wisdom. And obviously verbal channeling or automatic writing is, it's kind of funneling, right? It's funneling this wisdom that you can feel. Like, if you don't translate it into words and it's just for you, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Danay, but for me it's like the information is just downloaded into my head, like the Matrix, and I understand all the concepts that they're sharing with me instantly. And then if you are verbal channeling or writing, then it's up to you to filter it through your language system and find words that are appropriate and that make sense. And,
Yeah.
you know, I've certainly felt them kind of flipping through the Rolodex of my dictionary going,
Yes.
no, these aren't right. Okay, we'll make up a word that sort of is kind of the right word.
Yeah, and they'll make up words, but a couple of comments on what you said. One is you do verbal channel, you just don't do it often. And I've been privileged enough to see you verbal channel. I actually saw you verbal channel for the first time, which was exciting. But I know your resistance to it, and I think it's great because it's not the end all be all of things. Channeling is channeling, and there's, for every sense you have as a human, you can channel in that capacity. And that's the important thing to note, that there are some powerful channels out there who don't use their mouth to communicate it. They will do so through their eyes. They will do so through their hands, through their movements, just through their being. One of the powerful ways to channel as a person is through your embodiment. And nothing beats that, because the essence, the energy is there, and our minds play a huge role on how we decipher messaging anyways, because I can channel something, and how my own biases, my own filters come through are going to change how I go through and navigate and do the translation. But then you receiving it have your own biases and your own filters that are then going to affect your translation of it. And by the time you've received it, we played channeling telephone. But I also have the thing that when I can't find a word, I do envision a Rolodex, and I'm just like, what's the word? What's the word? What's the word? And if I can't think of the word, then I'll provide the definition of the word for people to deduce what I'm saying. But words have been made up, or you hear the sort of thing as it's like being processed.
Language is incredibly useless when it comes to this sort of thing, I think.
It's a vessel. Again, the word itself doesn't matter. It's a vessel that carries an energetic frequency. Because if you look at, so one of the words that my channel will use that people have a negative connotation around is consequences. And they say consequences is not a bad word. It's very neutral in its experience. We're just, growing up, there are big consequences for, this thing you're doing. No, it's a cause and effect thing. You give someone a hug, there's a response, i.e. a consequence. You tell somebody I love you, there is a response, a consequence. You eat something, the consequence is you feel fuller. Like, there's no word itself, no matter even the profanity that exists, it's only existing as a charged item because we gave it the charge.
Yeah.
We gave it that power. And again, coinciding with somebody I work with often, we've done a session on the power of words. And the idea there is that it's about your intention and your energy behind what you say and how you speak, rather than the words you use. Because there are a lot of people who are focused on, if I don't say this right, be in your heart, speak from your heart, and the energy will come through. The only reason we use language is so that we can satisfy our intellectual minds as a form of communication. There was a time in this human experience where we spoke telepathically. We weren't relying on language then. Language came to be because of our density.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and look at music, music is a very activating channel for me.
Mhm.
And, a whole arena full of hundreds of thousands of people can have a very charged, what I would consider spiritual experience.
Yeah.
And yet often there's no words being shared. It's simply a form of energy exchange.
Yeah, it's the frequency of it, right? Everything has a frequency level, and the word itself isn't the frequency, it's the intentionality or the charge that you supply the word with that is actually the frequency resonance.
Yeah.
So,
Love it. We could
well,
talk we
talk
could talk the
forever.
science of that until until the cows come home, as they say over
I
here.
mean, for those who don't know, when Jenny and I hop on a call to have a conversation, we attempt to do an hour, but it's usually 4 hours later when we're like, oh, we should probably go and I have to go to bed. Or,
Yeah, we're gonna keep it to a harsh hour this time. We will try.
oh, no.
So we are, speaking of which, we've got about 15 minutes. Um, would you like to, you've touched on some things that you've got coming up. Would you like to draw any attention to some of the classes that or courses that you're running?
Sure.
Um, I will put Danay's website in. Oh, sorry. Yes, your website. I will put in here again.
Yeah,
She's also got it in her name there.
I do.
Alyssa says, I recently went to a symphony and it was one of the most moving and shifting experiences of my life. Yeah, I went to see Hans Zimmer's orchestra play in London, and I was bawling through the majority of it because music just is like a hotline to my tear ducts for some reason. It was absolutely incredible,
Well, when you
it's
talk about
amazing.
light language, music is a form of light language. And it's directly meant for the heart.
Yes.
The language, yeah, light language. Music is one of the most powerful light languages out there. Just people don't realize it's a form of light language. So,
Yeah, and for me, I've certainly received that sort of wisdom connecting with angels that they've shared with me. This is one of our hotlines, is music,
mhm,
because it's a similar frequency that they can work with. Um, and the thing that I actually uncovered, I'll just share this little gem right now. When I was working through the Sarah Landon course and trying to do the automatic writing, I was having trouble because my brain was just like blah 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 blah, and interfering, as you mentioned, um, I was like, this isn't working for me. I can't just sit down and shut this up. I have a monkey in my head. So I would put on my headphones, put on my sort of chilled out music, and that would distract that part of the brain. And then I could start, usually, I think that obviously activates the heart. And then
that's what it
three
is.
or
Yeah.
four songs in, suddenly I'm starting to get that connection,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to leave that out there for anyone who's interested in trying that. If music is a thing that is your like beautiful, like I listen to music all the time, so it's a huge part of my life. If it's that for you, then I recommend trying that.
100%. So I have a channeling mentorship program that I've mentioned coming up. I'm encouraging people to join the waitlist if they want firsthand information as I gather the dates. But this is a limited space, less than 10. I'm actually aiming, I think, for 6 people. Maybe I'll push it to 10, depends on interest. But this is like a small group that I'll be leading through to get them to remember their ability to channel. And it's been very successful in the past. I'm very confident about my ability to assist people on this journey. And I know whatever you're meant to do as a channel, because we're all channels, people will do. Recently in August, at the end of August, I did an upliftment series where I hopped on for the entire week, half-an-hour calls each day, channeled an impactful, uplifting message around a particular topic. and then opened it up for Q&A on the final call. That was very successful. So I'm running it again at the end of September. And there are people who are messaging me and telling me that they're listening to those calls over and over again, to amp them up. It's kind of, because they say it's like, 20-25 minute channel is a nice timing for them to just have it as part of their day and then amp them up. I'm also, like you, I like to shout out other people's gifts. So on September 24th, I'm going to introduce 4 individuals and their gifts on this call. And it's going to be an opportunity for them to do something around the uplift energy and share their skills. I'm not going to give details beyond that until I've solidified what everybody is offering for those calls, but it is a free call, so people are able to sign up. It's a 2-hour event, and it's going to be filled with beautiful, powerful energy. I've worked with each of these individuals, and they've all assisted me in ways of moving through my own mental barriers around stuff, and that's a big deal. So those are the main things that I have coming up, and I will have other courses coming as the thing goes on, but the channeling course is the biggest one that's coming up for me.
Yeah, and you keep that small because you are working with people basically one-to-one almost on that, aren't you? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
And it's important because I want them to, and I'm available throughout. There's an engagement throughout. I offer a bonus one-to-one for them, but it's an opportunity for them to form a community, a close-knit community, for them to really tap into their inner wisdom, whether it's verbal channeling or not. I had somebody in the last group who was refusing, like you, to verbal channel, and now she just can't get enough of it.
Yeah.
And she verbal channels all the time.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important to have, we're connected because of the group that we were in.
Yeah.
I'm still in touch with a few others from the group that I was in. I think it is important to have people you can chat with about stuff, experiences that you've had, especially if you don't have family members or friends who are kind of understanding where you're at.
Yeah.
It's really nice to have that support system, to be like, oh my gosh, this happened, it was amazing, or that kind of stuff. Because sometimes you just can't share this with regular day-to-day life.
Yeah.
People don't get it. But more and more people are with the work that you're doing, Danay. So I
Yes,
think
that's the point. I'd rather, my goal in life is to put me out of business because everybody else is capable of doing it for themselves. And could you imagine living in a world where everybody tuned in for themselves, channeled for themselves, like no coaches, no guides, no nothing would be needed. And that is amazing to think about.
Yeah, definitely a worthy cause for sure. So if you're happy to go ahead and channel, I'm going to ask, you can say no, but I want to ask for Metatron actually. Just
you're going to
I
ask for Metatron. Well, the truth is that anytime I channel, whoever I've channeled in the past essentially is a present energy. And the exception would be like, if I've channeled a passed on loved one for another person, they only appear for that person. But any energy that I've connected with for me is always present. So for yourself that you don't have to channel Art from Metatron for him to be present there.
Oh, no. Yeah.
So any angel that you connect with, they're always there. It's just the one who takes the podium to talk.
Yes, absolutely. So we'll ask for a message for the group.
Yeah.
And we'll see what comes through. Don't worry about time.
Perfect.
And
want to allow for questions, or you just want a general message?
If anyone wants to drop in questions as the channel proceeds, then feel free. I will try and track it and ask if there's a moment to ask. But otherwise, you can
Okay.
proceed. Yeah.
Perfect. So let people know, I do start channeling with my eyes closed. Sometimes the persona version of me, so me right here, gets excited about the conversation, so wants to open the eyes and be very much part of, but still channeling. So it just depends. I get a little bit of FOMO, so I'll open up my eyes. But it doesn't take me long to get in, so I'll just grab a little water and we'll go for the group. Those who are curious, I do have a topic in mind. So we'll see if that proceeds, but yeah, we'll go from there. Wealth. Wealth is something that is in the energy right now for this group and many of those who are pursuing any entrepreneurial endeavors. Where is my wealth? Where is my blessings? Where are my rewards that I have reaped? And we are diving right in. We can say greetings and welcome, and we are appreciative of this opportunity to connect. But the energy is so strong around that of wealth and the lack thereof that we want to make it very well known that you have more wealth than you can imagine in your energetic field. And the issue does not lie in your inability to manifest, for you are all great manifestors, but your inability to allow yourself to reap the rewards that you are deeming that you are worthy of, but in some level you do not feel worthy of. It is an interesting paradox and experience and conundrum that you are all experiencing at this level, because you are having this opportunity to be presented with wealth in more ways than just money. Wealth comes to you as a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of support, a wealth of money, a wealth of experience, a wealth of anything you can possibly add to this. And why wealth is coming up, and most people think wealth is prosperity. Most are focused on the fact that they are not filling their bank accounts as much as they want them to be filled, but you have a wealth of love. And again, we are not saying that the money isn't there. We are saying pay attention to the way the wealth is present in your life. And we will say that at an energetic level, you are energetic beings and you are exchanging currency of a consciousness sort or energetic sort, but love is actually your main currency. You exchange love on the regular, and that is how you do a transmission and a measurement, for we don't measure very often, but if you want to measure something, measure how loving you are, measure how wealthy you are in the realms of love, because that is a wealthy area, and it is the most worthy of the wealthy that you shall endeavor to experience. For money is just something that you created energy around so that you could have something to focus your human minds on. Money was created to allow you to have the challenge of contrast and the challenge of creating a bond with something that humans have bestowed so much power and put on a pedestal that you say, how am I worthy of this magnificent being known as money? You gave it its power. You gave it its strength. You gave it its unattainability. Know that just by being in the presence and knowing and awareness of your wealth across all domains in your life, you will be able to gather more of an understanding of just how wealthy you are in the prosperous way. Wealth has been coming up strong, not only in the world dynamics and the energetics of the collective consciousness, but they are coming up for each and every one of you. We could have hopped on this and said, you are all love and you are all light and everything is working out for you, but you would say, where the heck is my money? Where the heck is my abundance? Where the heck is all that? And it has nothing to do with money. You've heard this before. This is not brand new, but what does money bring you? It brings you a sense of power. It brings you a sense of safety. It brings you a sense of security. It brings you a sense of freedom. Where do you have those already existent in your life? Where do you have those apparent in your day-to-day? You are all wealthy individuals. You are amassing wealth more than you believe. And you can imagine the wealth in front of you, in your energetic fields all around you, being carried by you, but then you are saying, I'm not allowed to have this. And it is very entertaining for us to see this when you are going through the experience that you want joy, you want freedom, you want love. And then when the opportunity presents to have it, you say, is it real? Is it true? Can I have it? You question any good thing that comes your way because you have been trained to question that it is not real, that it is not going to stay, and that it is not for you. But you are asking for it. Anything that presents itself in your reality is for you. It is for you to have. You are calling on all the energetic forces as the powerful beings that you are, and you are not realizing just how much wealth you have amassed around you. But let go of money. Form a relationship with money. Be best friends with money. But do not expect that money needs to give, because what have you given money? How much love and support have you shown money? Because money will come through as an energetic friend. But you know, if you have any friends that you have neglected in any capacity, they're not willing to be as forthcoming as their usual. And this is not a conditional experience. This is a vibrational frequency match or reflection, given that you are hesitant in yourself to trust your day-to-day life. When you go about on a walk in the outdoors, you do not assume that every step you take, that the floor or the ground beneath you will crumble. You walk with confidence that every time you take a step, that you will be met with a foundation, with support, that it is there no matter what. It would be an interesting experience for you to take a step and then have the world, the ground, disappear beneath you. You would be blown away. You do not have any doubts when you go for a walk that the ground will be there to meet you. But you have doubts every time you take a step in life that life will not be there to meet you. You have doubts that when you take a step in life, that wealth, prosperity, freedom, worthiness, acceptance, love, that they will not be there to meet you. They are no different from the ground, the earth, that is always there to meet you when you are walking. You have no doubts that when you turn on your faucet, that water will come through. And if water does not come through for any moment, you have a great understanding that it could be resolved very easily. You have a knowing and an acceptance and a confidence around so many things in life, yet you doubt the most truest factors to life. That love is always present, that wealth in your needs, in your knowing is always present, that your acceptance, your value, your freedom, they are always present. But you have more trust and more confidence around something bad around the corner, or something or someone betraying you in any moment. You anticipate the bad. We challenge you to anticipate the good. What good thing could happen to me today? What wonderful, magnificent thing could happen to me today? What am I going to have the chance to celebrate today? For there is magic for you in all days, every moment. You just need to see it. And we will tell you that anything and everything that you have desired in any capacity lies in your energetic field until you no longer want it or need it. It is there. And it is up to you to say, I allow, I welcome, I embrace. But please do not take this as a form of punishment to say that you are doing something wrong because your bank account is not meeting your expectations. Do this as an invitation to say, where can I love myself more? Where can I honor myself more? And where can I spend time with myself more? Or where can I show love to others more, or generosity to others more? This is an opportunity for you to allow yourself to have the freedom to be and love yourself exactly as you are. Envision anything that you desire in life, to be the most wonderful, beautiful friendship that you have. Each of you have people in your life that you know when push comes to shove, that they will be there for you, that they will be ready and able to support you. And you know this with great confidence, but then you do not trust that we will support you, or that your groups will not support you, your energetic groups will not support you. You have an abundance of support, a wealth of support, a wealth of resources available to you. You are wealthy beings beyond your wildest dreams, but beyond your wildest knowing. And this is your opportunity to accept it, to embrace it, to acknowledge it, to celebrate it, to do anything and everything that feels good around wealth. Because wealth isn't just money. Like we've mentioned before, wealth is love. Wealth is knowledge. Wealth is support. Wealth is surrounding you. And you are all more wealthy than you realize. You are all more things than you realize. And it is time that you allow yourselves to accept the truth of who you are. You are the most abundant beings on the planet. You are the most abundant beings on the planet. And it all comes around to your perception. When you are remembering your wealth and your abundance, that is when you skyrocket into your wealth and your abundance. Because it is always ever present for you. If there are any questions, we are excited and willing to offer responses. If not, we are happy to conclude.
That was wonderful. And no, I don't have any questions. I'm sorry. Alyssa's popped in. She says, my question is, how can I feel better or respond when my kids keep asking for things I haven't been able to buy? I can tell they get tired of hearing, not now, but sometimes I feel guilty.
And this is not the only time in your life that you have felt guilty, and it is not just around wealth and prosperity. And guilt is coming up for you to examine and understand why you feel so in the wrong with your actions. This is not a demonstration of your I'm not enough, though it is a manifestation of you are not enough. You know the truth that you are more than enough. You are an exquisite, magnificent human being, soul, who is having this privilege to master the full spectrum of emotions on the planet of emotions. And guilt has popped up as one of your key stars to evaluate. You are not enough in your perspective, in your mind, and guilt is there to remind you as a protective service, to say that you are not enough and we need to adjust so that you are then enough, and no one can leave you, no one can abandon you, and no one can harm you, because you have all you need when you have all the external things that you are desiring. And we are not saying that you are externally focused. What we are saying is it is tapping into your softest spots so that you can endeavor to masterfully evolve through this challenge, this quest of yours. This is not your main quest. This is a side quest, although you are treating it as a main quest because it is very close to your main quest. Your quest on this lifetime is to come into your power as the magnificent being you are in through your remembering of your power, because you are meant to change lives, and you are going to come across a number of individuals who are going through exactly what you are going through, but by then you will have evolved through it. So when guilt comes to the surface and says that you are not good enough, you are finding all the ways to counter it in all the ways that you are good enough. You have made a profound difference across many lives by just being you, and you continue to do so. But let go of the desperate energy around needing to be something that you perceive yourself that you cannot be, and that we would say you are not. Because you are not somebody who lacks. You are somebody who is very fulfilled and very much capable of supporting all those. But when you feel you cannot support others, the most important question to ask yourself is, am I supporting myself? Because those who are not feeling strong in wealth, particularly around money, particularly around family and supporting others, it is because they are not supporting themselves. And this is a great opportunity for a reflection for you to see all the ways in which you can support yourself more and show yourself that you are very supportive. But with the most important person, child, being in your life, which is you. You have not felt the support that you needed growing up, and now you are asking for it from yourself. And your children are merely a reflection of that asking to be supported, and then you feeling that you are falling short because you cannot provide. Support yourself first and foremost, and you will see how you continue to thrive. Because in our opinion, whether you agree or not, we see you as thriving. We do not see you as surviving. So let go of that story, because that is furthest from the truth. You thriving phoenix who is ready to rise. You just need to open your eyes and see. Beautiful.
Thank you. Alyssa says, yes, I deeply receive this answer. It's making more sense and I already feel better. Vanessa has asked, how can I process forgiveness so that I can move forward in peace?
Forgiveness would indicate that something is wrong. And then from our perspective, and we will give this as the easy, cheesy answer first, and then we will elaborate. You can see that forgiveness does not exist as a concept, because there is no right, there is no wrong. The wrongness occurs when something is no longer in alignment with you or not in the ways that you desire. But for you to forgive is to come back to the awareness that no harm can be placed upon you through yourself or another or through an experience. When you come back to the truth of knowing who you are as the being that you are, the love, the light, the magnificent masterpiece and evolution that you are opening yourself up to the understanding, the perspective, the higher perspective, not higher as in better, but higher as in more encompassing. You are then allowing yourself to see that there was no wrongdoing to begin with. And we will expand on this in a sense that when you feel harmed in some capacity or betrayed in some capacity, it is a beautiful experience to understand what parts of you that it is hitting, what parts of you are being activated in you, and then asking yourself, what can you do to support yourself more? You need, not need, but you would benefit from forgiveness of the self as well as others, but not in a sense of you or others doing anything wrong. Forgiveness is the acceptance of the truth that there was no wrongdoing to begin with. Now, we are not of the perspective that just because there is no wrong, that there is no condoning of any behavior. Anything that is an act outside of love, we do not condone, but we understand that there is no wrong. We are hoping that we are conveying this well, but we will continue. Just through this energy of forgiveness, it is a letting go, it is a surrender for holding on to energy, even if you were very much wronged in the human definition of it. It does not change the idea that if you forgive and let go, that you are not condoning the behavior, but you are accepting that it is something that was part of your experience and that you will grow stronger from. You cannot have anything weigh you down for long unless you let it. So an inability to forgive is your choosing not to forgive. But not forgiving anyone is going to impact your energetic experience and your peace, as you noted in your question. But forgiving others is not for them. Forgiveness is always for you. No matter who or what has harmed you in your perception, when you forgive, you are not doing it to release them or pardon them. You are doing it so that you can return to your peace. So find all the ways that you feel that you are restricting or resisting forgiveness, and see where you are not giving those particular items to yourself. Or if someone's betrayed you, not giving you enough time, not paying enough attention to you, or has betrayed your trust in some capacity, how have you betrayed your own trust in yourself? Are you not confident in your own value as a person, in the love that you are? Have you not been giving yourself enough time to acknowledge the value of your presence? It is amazing how many on the planet, and this is encompassing of the entire billions of people on the planet, who don't actually give themselves the time of day that they deserve. You are also focused on your outside relationships, which is beautiful, but many of you would benefit greatly. We would say 99.9% of you would benefit greatly by giving yourselves more of your time and more of your acknowledgement. And that does not include having others present in any capacity. Or if you truly want to surrender or forgive, come back to you, and come back to the knowing that you are an exquisite, extravagant, magnificent masterpiece in evolution. And no experience, no person, nothing can tell you otherwise.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that. Vanessa says, thank you so much. I resonate with the guidance greatly, and I receive it with love and gratitude. I think that's a lovely place to stop. If people want to communicate with Danay's channel, obviously they can get in touch with you through your website, and or use your courses and workshops as well, in order to interact with you personally, and also your channel as well. This has been an absolutely lovely experience. Lovely to see you channeling again, Danay. Amazingly expansive content as always. And I will be sharing the recording on YouTube. So everyone that's joined, I will email when that is up. It's usually in a few days that I have time to put it up. And then I will no doubt also share it as well.
Yeah.
So
So before you sign off, though, they do want to end with their usual closing sentence.
okay, go
So
for
we'll let them do that.
it.
So much energy and so much excitement. We want to make it very clear that because we indicate that there are places to evolve, does not mean that you are not doing well. We think you are all thriving and you are all doing tremendously well. We are looking to assist on allowing you to expand and evolve further. We are all very much proud of you and your evolution. Keep doing the things that you are doing. You are doing magnificently well, and you are all masterpieces in evolution. For now, we will leave this at that. And if any of you want to engage with us further or our being, we are happy to receive you. We love you greatly, and we thank you for this opportunity to connect. We send you all loving, expansive, celebratory, energetic hugs.
You're like, now we're done. Energetic hugs all the way.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm going to hit stop recording now.
Thank you.